Well, I am Chenda Seang, the coordinator at the Seuk Contemporary Art Gallery of the Documentation Center of Cambodia. This is the another office of our Documentation Center Cambodia, where we use this as an outreach venue for the student and general visitor to come to learn the great deal of the Khmer history. I have started my work at the center as a volunteer since late 2015, and later on I am recruited to be the staff member, and after a year in the center I get a scholarship to continue my study abroad, and I returned to this gallery in late 2016, where I am put as a coordinator. And then the work I do here is to create as well as offer kind of educational program to the student and general visitor to learn about the Khmer history. We have the exhibition, we have the film screening, we also have the meeting forum with the survivor as well as the former Khmer people. All of these sessions it's just the hope for the student and general people coming here to understand broadly about the Khmer history. Yeah.
And tell me about the kind of people that come through the gallery, because I know, obviously we're here, obviously you're in the middle of a school complex over here, and even the other day you had people from Singapore visiting. So what kind of people actually make use or come and attend events or exhibitions that you have?
Well, there are different kind of students as well peoples coming to this gallery. For the local visitor student, they are the high school as well as the university student. They come to visit this gallery just to learn about the Khmer history through the program we have. And we also have the students from abroad, from Australia, from Canada, from the state, and as well as the student from the country in the region. This is all about our effort to bring the Khmer history education to all of them. Yeah.
And how is the genocide being presented to the general population? How is it being taught to younger generations? What's the approach, you think, whether it's your own approach here or the approach in the education system in general? How is it being relayed or talked about?
Thanks for your question. This is a very good one that I am happy to respond, because now we have the formal curriculum at the high school that genocide, the Khmer genocide lesson present in classes. The students from grade 7 until grade 12, they have the history lesson at school, so they have it at school. And we also have other outreach approach by conducting, for example, the performance. We also have the plays performance, and we also have, like in this gallery, we have the exhibition, and we also have the film, documentary film screening. All of these the means to reach not only to the student in class, but also to the general public. And overall, I could say that the Khmer history education to the young Cambodian people are more broadly taught, discussed. So especially the young Cambodian, they are even more open up to talk about this tragic history in their own country.
How do those conversations go? How are the young people responding when you teach them about what has happened, right? Because you hear a lot that everybody in Cambodia has been touched in one way or another by the Khmer genocide. How are they, when you tell them about what may have happened to, some of their uncles, some of their grandparents, What's their reaction like?
Well, I have received both the reflections as well reaction from them when the Khmer history is taught. For example, one of the student came to the gallery, and then when we present them about all the history of what happened, or the story of what happened during genocide, they already know is at home because their parent, his parent, told him about us. So it's about the story they already know, and then we just want to let them know about other aspects of what happened at that time. And they also want us the reaction from the student about the topics discussed after the fall of Khmer Rouge, because one of the students asked me what happened to the Cambodian people after the fall of the Khmer Rouge. And this question could go beyond the topics we discussed within the context of the Khmer Rouge, context of the Khmer Rouge regime. So we came to the discussion on the topics of the refugee crisis of Cambodia along the border, and it's all about that. Yes.
Does it ever happen that you're having conversations with young people and they ask you questions that are very hard to answer, you know, that they talk about things that are difficult to talk about? Like, how do you approach when people ask questions that may be a little bit hard to speak about?
I think there are two, for the local visitor, the local student, usually ask questions that they already know some, and then they just want to understand more. So the question still, I consider still in the something that I could find it's not too difficult to deal with, but for the survivors, sometimes when they ask a question, so it's too difficult to answer because of it's sometimes too emotional for that. And for the general public, I consider that for the foreign student just coming to learn about the history, and they just ask the overall question about what happened to Cambodian people, and we just give the kind of historical narrative to them to understand about that. Yes.
What do you think the role of education and culture is in helping prevent something like this from happening again? Do you think that teaching it helps make sure it doesn't happen again?
Well, education is the mean to teach not only the Cambodian student, but also the international student to learn about the past atrocity, and it the mean for the prevention from it happening again. We teach them to understand, so that when they understand about this, it is the hope that all these things will not happen again in the future. This is one of the effective means for the genocide or mass atrocity prevention. Yeah.
You've also studied not just in Cambodia but internationally, right? Like on the Cambodian genocide in relation to other genocides, right? When you were in Israel, correct? What have you learned? What has that brought to you in terms of your perspective of thinking about the Cambodian genocide?
My perspective is about the coming to Israel. I just brought my own identity of the history to present to the people in class, especially when we talk about other genocide or Holocaust happen in the war or happen in the world history. It's about the world history, and that and I just want to represent my identity from what happened in Cambodia during the Khmer Rule to the Gala, and just to open up the story I know in my country as a testimony and as a voice of my people to talk to those people in Israel. Yeah.
On a personal level, why have you decided to do this as as a job, as a career? Why have you decided to engage in this? Because it's obviously not the easiest work to do, right? And you talked about trying to share your identity. Like as a as a Cambodian man, why decide to do this?
Well, there's one person at home and there's one person at the center. The two people inspire me to continue the work on. The first one is my mother. She's also a child survivor, and then she's almost quite to be killed a few times during the purge and in the eastern zone. And when I talked to her what happened and why the Khmer Rule was about to kill her, and she didn't really understand why as well. She was about 14 years old. She's still young, and this is all about the coming to this field is also to find the answer for my mom. For the personal level and for the national level, I think I could say that the center, especially the director, also inspired me to continue on to serve for not only the Cambodian people, the Cambodian nation, but also for the humanity about this world. We need a tireless effort to continue on bringing the voice of the Cambodian victims, survivor, reaching out to the public in the world, so that this history could be continually talk, yes, and so on. Yeah.
How important is it to keep telling this history through the arts, right? Because we're in the middle of a very beautiful space where there's some striking paintings, and you showed us a documentary film the other day that sheds a completely different light. As you strive to tell these stories, like how important is it to go through the work in this way?
From the historical perspective, it's so important because the survivor of the genocide day by day pass away, and in the future we could lose kind of the living document of the loss of the survivor. And so the story keep being told is one of the effective ways to keep the memory and all what happened during that time alive. And from the new generation perspective, it also has a necessity just to know ourselves. We have our identity. We have been through this and that, and now we are today Cambodian. So we need to share our identity for the younger, the future generation. Yeah.
What do you think it means to be Cambodian? If somebody asks you, like, what's a Cambodian? What's your take on that?
Just the Cambodian will be the place for all the people to come to visit as well as to study about the history here, because we have the prosperous history as well as the tragic history. All the people come here could get something from these people, because we have been through many different period of time, many different, I could say the tragedy history. All of these make the people Cambodia different from other. Also, the unique people, they are more and more friendly or kind or open up to welcome the people here.
where is the work, just to start wrapping up, where is the work of the Institute and the art gallery, where is it moving toward? Are you working on specific projects, collaborating with other local or international organizations? Like, what are you hoping to achieve in the near future here?
Well, in this gallery, we just hope to have more, I could say that collaboration not only within in Cambodia with the local partner, but also with the international, because these could bring about all kind of educational program we have here for any kind of exchange, so that we could get improvement on the work we are delivering, and still there's so much so much work I really need to improve, to develop, to make the gallery more interesting as well as significant for the local student and for the international student coming here. At this moment, we have only collaboration with one local art school, Sleuk, working on the art and education program. Yeah.
How does, just lastly, and I know it's a big question, and I apologize for it being so big, but where does Cambodia go from here, as far as like thinking about its past and maybe healing or dealing with what has happened? Where does Cambodia go?
Yeah, in the future, right? I think it's about the diversity of Cambodia because after the genocide, a lot of people, a lot of Cambodians go to different countries and for different purposes. In the 1980s, goes to third country as a refugee, and in the 1990s, those people come to bring their family to live with them. And now today's generation, they go for education, for employment. So all the people would come back to make a difference. In Cambodia, they bring the knowledge, experience from their work, as well as new perspective, experience in those countries to make the difference in the country associated with the genocide and war and so on. And now more and more Cambodians, as you observe, they are so excited to explore the world. They really want to travel as much as they can to see the outside world. So it is eye-opening experience for them, and then they would bring all this experience and the new perspective to the country. Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel we haven't talked about that you would be interested in saying or adding? Because I want to make sure there's an opportunity for you to add anything that you feel like we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about.
Well, it's just for my last part, just thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this work, and because it also could bring, you could see also it's allowed me to have my own perspective about the work I am doing, about the history we are dealing with. So all of this is important for not only it's all about the voice from the survival, the memory, the wisdom, but also for the future of Cambodia, that people know more about this country, and we are so now more and more open up to the world. Yes. So it's just like my last thing. I have no more comment for that.
Well, we appreciate your time and you allowing us to be a part of what you do for sure, at least as much as you appreciate us integrating you into what we do. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Really,
This is
really
our work.
appreciate it.
Yeah, this is our work, and we do for the survival and for wisdom. Yeah, and for my old generation. So I'm the young one. It is an obligation to continue it.